People know about John Hope Franklin, the historian, but they don't know about his dad, who also was a lawyer and who documented what happened in Tulsa, including the fact that they bombed the citizens of Tulsa. People think it was just the white rioters in the street. They bombed the people in Tulsa, dropped bombs over that Greenwood community. So when we're talking about recompense, we mean it. And we're so proud and honored by every member of Justice for Greenwood, for all the people who have been involved in this struggle. It's not over. It's not over, as Daryl said, but it is on its way to get $105 million for Tulsa as a city to finally say, yeah, we did it. We apologize, but we're going to put money to help with housing, to help repair the damage done to this community and to the black people in Tulsa. So we are so happy to salute that. Karen, what do you think?
I think that, the case for Tulsa is clear, and the tragedy is that it wasn't done sooner, and it still has to be. They've waited until they're over 100 years old for justice. I also think that it's a mirror and a microcosm of a broader American story. A promise met with violence, of prosperity met with envy, and justice delayed and denied. And I think what happened to Tulsa sends a message to every black community and person that's been harmed, ignored, and told to move on. We're always told to move on. But reparations for Tulsa are not just, about the past. They are a measure for who we are now. And back to your earlier conversation about, the knucklehead, chicken neck Negroes who don't understand the importance of this issue. It's not just, to remember the Rosa Parks, but I always go back to, Coach Herman Boone and remember the Titans. I don't scratch my head unless it itches, and I don't dance unless I hear some music. I will not be intimidated by these
Amen. And see, what people got to understand is, in order to be in this fight and to be a real fighter for justice, you got to have that kind of fire in your heart where you can pull on those kinds of sayings, those kind of mantras when you are challenged, because you're constantly challenged. I mean, the fights that Daryl and I are in right now are not fun. They are, hard because we're watching, headlines talking about the increase in voter suppression around the country. We're dealing with, the federal government. But we are always pulling on great statements, always, quoting things to each other to keep us strong, because in these times you never capitulate. You never compromise with the devil. There is no such thing. You got to understand why you have to, keep yourself encouraged, why you got to play those songs, why you got to, dance, why you got to have the ability, like you said, dance to our music, why you got to have that courage in these moments. Folks, the other, we just, want to end the show by talking about one other thing that the media has missed. Of course, they missed, the story about Tulsa. But now you spread it, you look it up, you make sure people are aware, like we have to do all the time. We got to be our own media. And we also wanted to recognize Miss Lanier, who has won a concession from Harvard University to give back to her family all these pictures, daguerreotypes that they took of her people while they were enslaved, and been making money off of it. As into not last century, folks, this century, as recently as 2017, making money selling these pictures. Well, she has forced them, by bringing a lawsuit, yes, a one-woman lawsuit, has forced them to relinquish 175-year-old photographs to be believed to be the earliest taken of enslaved people. And she's forced them to donate all of those photographs back to her, and it's going to go into the South Carolina Museum. That anybody who's ever been to that great International African American Museum in Charleston knows it's just gorgeous. And they're going to be there now so that they will be educating people and not being exploited for profit. So we want to, give a shout out to her. We want to give a shout out to those folks who are standing up and doing the work and making the difference. Folks, every one of us have a voice. Where are you going to be on June 14th? Are you going to pick up that phone and call 202-224-3121? Did you hear me? 202-224-3121. Are you going to say that you want Congress to vote against the budget bill that would take away health care for 14 million people, that you will not sit around and allow that to happen on your watch and that you're going to be quiet? We need you. Lift those voices up. Be heard. We also want to say to this administration, we saw you, we see you, we see your evil double standard of allowing these white South Africans this preferred status, this preferred white status, that they can come in to our nation and be your stormtroopers of racial injustice. We see what you're doing. We notice that while you're telling folks, immigrants are your problem, immigrants are your problem, immigrants are the reason why you're not doing well, whatever. At the same time, here you are admitting immigrants because they're white. Because they're white South Africans, not because there's any genocide. That's just a lie happening, but because you want more people who are white supremacists thinking in this country to infect our country. Folks, we must rise up. Karen, your parting words, how do people get in touch with you?
They can always reach me at CBM National, but I just started a Substack because, Barbara, I got a lot to say. So they can reach me at Dr. Karen 2 cents at Substack.com. And you know what, Barbara? I hope that we get to a point where we start asking the media to ask questions. Why were they allowed to jump the line, particularly when Amsterdam is open? That's all.
Tell me about
Amsterdam
it.
speaks Afrikaans, So yeah, they can always reach me at either of those two sources. But let's start talking about the question in a different way so we get the right response or the true response. So always a pleasure.
Right.
Love you both dearly. And, TJC is my heart. So I appreciate the good work that you do, and I'm glad to always be a part of it.
Well, also, Karen, let's tease up. And Karen, you're a great member of our board. The Concerned Black Men of America is just incredibly important. Why don't we tee up for everybody listening the July 17th John Lewis Day of Action? Yeah. July 17th, John Lewis Day of Action. Mark your calendar right now. Karen, tell people why it's so important for people to be part of the John Lewis National Day of Action on July 17th.
People always talk about, make good trouble, as Mr. Lewis always spoke about. For him. But that doesn't mean being idle. That means commemoration. That means activation. And July 17th is the day that he passed in 2018. But the July 17th date is an opportunity for everybody from all parts of the United States and abroad to just say, we see you, we hear you, we don't like what's going on, and we're standing up. And that could be done through candlelight vigils, that can be done through protest, that can be done through standing in disagreement. Whatever form that takes that's positive and peaceful, that's what July 17th means, a representation of just the good man that he was, just the quiet but persistent activist that he was. Making good trouble is standing up for what you believe in. and doing it the right way. So that's what July 17th represents to us, and we'll have Concerned Black Men. You'll have the League of Women Voters. You'll have Win with Black Women from all over the country and other organizations that TJC is partnered with, and you can speak better to that than I. But we need everybody who is able to do something on July 17th.
Amen. Amen.
We encourage everyone to go to tjcoalition.org, tjcoalition.org. You can get more information about the July 17th John Lewis National Day of Action at tjcoalition.org. Isn't that correct, Barbara?
Absolutely. And also, everybody, I don't want to end this show without calling out one more, set of heroes and sheroes, and that is, Daryl Jones and Carl Snowden and all of the members of the Caucus of Black Leaders of Maryland who have, to this last week, dedicated the magnificent statute to, it's a beautiful memorial is the best way to put it. This beautiful memorial to former Congressman Perrin J. Mitchell. Listen, part of our obligation, when they say they're going to ban books, when they say they're going to ban teaching our Black history, part of our obligation is to teach it. And so thank you for what you've done, Daryl, and your leadership and the leadership of the Caucus of Black Leaders. Thank you for honoring the amazing Congressman Perrin J. Mitchell.
Thank you so much, Barbara. And what we encourage people to do is to go to the city of Annapolis to see the Congressman Perrin J. Mitchell Memorial. He was one of the founding members of the Congressional Black Caucus. But most importantly, when you go to see this memorial, remember this. It was all privately funded. There was no government funding that went into this. You want to have brothers on the walls? Buy your own walls. That's what we did. That's what we pushed. And that's what it's all about. Certainly want to thank Dr. Karen McRae for being with us on this show, and she's always right there with us, Barbara. Want to thank each and every one of our listeners for being one of those people that is willing to put your neck out and stand up for that which is right. You know what? There are a lot of people that say, I'm afraid to put my neck out, but I just want to close with these words. Just because you're afraid to put your neck out doesn't mean you won't get your throat cut. Folks, get off the sidewalk, get into the streets, get into the action, stand up for democracy, stand up for tomorrow, stand up for your rights. Until next Tuesday, noon Eastern Standard Time, peace, everybody.
Peace.
The preceding program was paid for by Barbara Arnwine.
Donors choose. Support a classroom. Build a future.
Did you know that every year, public school teachers spend nearly $500 of their own money for student supplies? Let's do the math. That comes out to over $1.2 billion a year. And that's just not right. At Donors Choose, we want students and teachers to have the tools they need for a great education. And now, more than ever, they need your help. Here's what you can do. Go to DonorsChoose.org and choose from teachers' requests that support reading, math, science, history, and more. Once a request is funded, we'll take care of shipping everything directly to the teacher. It's that easy. You'll receive thank you letters and photos from students and teachers and a report of how every dollar was spent. With school just around the corner, the need has never been greater. Learn more at DonorsChoose.org.
Donors choose. Support a classroom. Build a future.
News Talk 1450 and 95.9 WOL with the Carl Nelson Show. Weekdays from 6 to 10 a.m. Reverend Al Sharpton keeping it real from 1 to 4 p.m. And the Tavis Smiley Show from 4 to 7 p.m. Download our mobile app and take us everywhere you are or listen live at WOLDCnews.com. The news and issues that matter to you most from Carl Nelson, Reverend Al Sharpton, and Tavis Smiley on 1450 and 95.